you?
Good, good. Why don't you take a second, go ahead, introduce yourself, throw out any social media if you want.
Okay, my name is Gabriel R. Cruz. I've been meeting a lot of Gabriel Cruz's people with my similar name, so I always throw the R in. I'm from Arizona. I've been collecting since I would say 2012, like aggressively. Social media. I got this out so people can see there. I don't know if people can read it or is it backward?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, so I'm known on my social media usually as Cruzzer2. I'm on the Instagram, Cruzzer2, YouTube, Cruzzer2, eBay, if people want to see what I've got on there, Cruzzer2, Facebook, Cruzzer2. I occasionally write a blog, and it's called the Blank Page Blog, and it's not so much comics. It is comics, but a little bit of everything. There is life outside of comics, so
I don't believe you.
And occasionally I write for Comics Heating Up every once in a while.
Very interesting. Very cool.
If people want to read those again.
That's awesome.
So
You've been sitting and collecting for quite some time.
yeah.
That's real cool. Real cool. So what was, do you remember the first comic that you bought with your very own money?
The very first comic I bought my own money. So I'm a little old for a lot of people don't know. I'm in my late 30s, almost 40s. And I first started reading comics when I was a Boy Scout, and one of the guys had bought a 7-Up. We stopped at a 7-Eleven for goodies. He bought Batman versus Predator. They were passing it around, and I picked it up, and I was like, wow, like I love. I didn't love Batman, but I understood Batman. I love the Predator creature, and just seeing them go at it, it was just that's when I kind of fell in love with comics. But being teenagers, we sports here and that, so I really got into comics. My niece is a person that doesn't leave the house, and I was trying to get her out of the house. She likes to draw, so I'm trying to figure out a way how to get her out of the house. I go, you need to get out of the house a little bit, so she's like, yeah, take me to the comic store. And I was like,
okay.
Okay, I'll take you to the comic store. And then I bought her some books. I really didn't see anything that I was interested in, but then I saw that there was Mars Attacks that was coming out, and I'm a fan of the Mars Attacks movie because there were so many
awesome movie, man,
good actors, but I know that the way they were portrayed in that movie, it could have been easily a horror movie, and it wasn't. It was one of those B sci-fis, but It could have been a horror movie the way I've seen those the aliens, the Martians portrayed before in like the cards and stuff. So I got a pull box and I subscribed to Mars Attacks. My niece picked up Avenging Spider-Man #9.
Very cool. And
so I lent her some of my books, and she was like, "You need to read this Avenging Spider-Man." And I'm like, "I don't like Spider-Man. It's not cool. So you need to read this." And reading that, I got introduced to Carol Danvers, and that's a majority of my collection now.
Is Spider-Man just overall, you think, is the majority of your collection?
No, just Carol Danvers.
Okay, gotcha.
Marvel, yeah. So that's a majority of my collection now. It was just something about that Dodson cover that, I was able to talk to him. Eventually got to meet him and talk to him about, and then he showed me this is the first sketch and this is how I put it together. And he was showing me the different pictures and I was like, whoa. So it's like, okay. Yeah. So I didn't give that cover enough credit until he finally broke that cover down for me. And I was like impressed. So
very cool. Very cool. So what would you say your favorite book is in your collection?
My favorite book, in about 2014, I started spending a lot of time at the comic store, just learning the craft as much as possible. But one of the books that really caught my eye was the X-Men 141.
Okay.
That cover has been homaged so many times. And at the time when I saw it, it was just the price. I was like, I'm not gonna spend all that for a comic. I was buying $3 comic books, but I wasn't gonna spend all that much for a comic book. And I'm like, no way, no way, I'm not paying $100 for a comic book. But I got to know the comic book owner there, and I started like volunteering for him, and while volunteering, I was able to pick his brain, and I guess I spent so much time there helping the store out and everything that for my birthday and for Christmas, he gave me the X-Men 141.
That's
he gave
awesome.
me Raw. He gave me and the 142. Now, me being a little stupid, I went and I thumbed through them for a little bit. And I'm like, I'm going to read these because that's what they're meant to do. I read them. And then later on, I got to learn about graded comics because I still wasn't much into it. And I was able to get Chris Claremont to sign them. And then I sent them to get graded there. So I was really happy with the grade because it was like one came back a 9.4, the other one 9.6. And I was like, this is pretty good, knowing that I had read them a couple times. Had I,
That's awesome.
That X-Men 141, it's my favorite. I remember when I first got it, I scanned that and I made it into a poster, big poster.
That's real cool.
Cover is beautiful.
That is awesome. Very, very interesting. Very cool story.
Yeah.
How many books total would you say you have in your collection?
Oh wow, total.
That's always the one that gets everybody.
Right now, I have like about 15 to 20 short boxes. I used to have about 40 to 60. I've just had so much comic clutter that I said, okay, this stuff's got to go. A lot of it, I don't have no adult. I just, I had it to be cool, but I had no emotional attachment to it. So I just started dwindling my stuff down. I still have a lot of stuff that I'm like, why didn't I buy this at the time? Okay, whatever, I have it. I haven't. How would I say this? I'm not collecting comics as aggressively as I once did in the past. I am when it comes to my collection, I am collecting like the True Believers. I'm collecting reprints. I'm getting up there in age. I have 4 nephews. They're all under 12, and so what I've been doing with my True Believers is I'm always collecting them in 5s, and one for myself, and then I give them each. I put them all each in a short box, and then so when I pass, my nephews are gonna get some short boxes.
They get a little bit of something. Yeah, there you go.
So, whether they keep them or read them or sell them or whatever, that's up to them. But they're gonna have a box that, hey, this is what my uncle used to like, and that's, and some of those True Believers, they're pretty tough to find.
They are.
I wish I would have jumped on that wagon a lot and thought of that a lot earlier. So
man, I'm beating myself up every time I hear something like Naomi #1. I was like, I don't even know what this is. This isn't for me, and I put it back, and now it just like exploded.
I'm doing that with some of the newer characters, like the new Agents of Atlas. I'm doing them like I'm just 4, and then it's just some other characters. I know there's Batman, there's Spider-Man, there's other stuff, but I also want them to have a diverse reading there from diverse point of views.
Right.
So it's not so much being hipsterish or being the popular thing. So that's some of the things. I tend to stay away from the Batman. They're good stories. I read them here and there, but it's not my cup of tea.
Interesting. See, I'm the exact opposite. I got to buy every Batman book they come out with.
Exactly.
And especially when Batman Damned came out and how bad that exploded. But I got it just because I thought it would be cool. And sure enough, I take it to Comic-Con to get it signed by Mr. Azzarello, and people were offering me like $300 cash, like in the line for the autograph.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good, bro. I'm gonna keep this one.
It's mine.
What are some of the coolest keys that you own?
Some of the coolest keys. So this is a favorite of mine.
Very cool.
It's the Master of Kung Fu. It's a special Marvel edition number 15. I bought this off a guy 3 years ago when it was like $30. We had gone to the comics. I had gone to a comic store with my buddy John, and we saw a bunch of Moon Knights, and the Moon Knight Lemire had just been released, and we went to go get the variants, and there was a stack of run of Moon Knights. And I said, and he was like, "Don't do it." He's like, "Don't get the Moon Knights. You want that Shang-Chi. You want that Shang-Chi." Because I had been mentioning to him, I said, "Shang-Chi's the next big thing. Well, he's gonna come out of nowhere." And he's like, "No, don't do it with the Moon Knight." But I bought the Moon Knight, so I had to wait a little bit for that Master of Kung Fu. A couple weeks later, I picked up that Master of Kung Fu for $30 off a guy online, and I was, like I said, I'm not, big on the grade because I knew I was going to get it in case, but I was like, I needed to have Shang-Chi in my and that's one of the things I'm trying to put together, and I'm a little upset now because I was working on a set of Master of Kung Fu run, and I know it can be done. It was a long run, but with the supposedly rumors of him having a movie, I was like, it's driving those prices
that's gonna be
up.
a good movie. I don't really particularly care for Marvel, but I will see a Shang-Chi movie.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was in Portland. I went to a con over there, and there was she's a very, very attractive woman, and I sat down. I was charging my phone. And she's like, "You comic collector?" I go, yeah. She's like, "Yeah, I bet you, I can name some characters." She was testing me, so I bet you I can name some characters that you've never heard of. And I go, "Go ahead, name one." Well, she's all Shang-Chi. I pull out my Instagram to show her. I go, "Look, that one." She's like, "Oh, you do know it." So we sat there for like 40 minutes just talking Shang-Chi. And it's funny, after we parted ways or whatever, dudes were like, "What are you gonna make?
Chicks love Shang-Chi.
Hook up with her or what?" And I'm like, "No, we just talked Shang-Chi. That was it. That was it." But she was out to test the nerds.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh.
Too funny. So how do you store your collection? Do you particularly just use short boxes, long boxes? Do you have a cool file cabinet? Big. Some people for some reason, have big gun safe.
I have a little bit of everything. I have a cabinet, and I got that idea from my local comics book store. Usually on the top ones, on the top thing is I have like 8 or 9. I have just different sets. Maybe with like the variants, whatever. I have Inhumans. My top set, I have Inhumans and Street Fighter. I'm a big Street Fighter fan, so I have a lot of Street Fighter comics up there. I have a lot of Inhuman stuff up there. And then I have comics that I've written letters, and they printed them, so I've had to go buy that comic.
Yeah.
And so people are like, "Well, how is it?" Because I've written 6 letters, and I've been printed out 6 times.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. When my local comic book owner, he found out, he was like, "You got to start writing. You got to start writing stuff." He's all, a lot of if you go back and you look at the letters, you'll see a lot of the writers were the ones writing the letters, and they eventually.
That's how they started, yeah.
They got, "Hey, come write for us." So, everybody wants to know my little cheat. I know a lot. I've asked. I hear this. How is it? What's your secret to getting published so much? What I basically did is I went through old Marvel comics. I was looking at the letters. When I'd read their paragraph, I'd pick 1 or 2 words that I really stand out, and on my letter, I would make sure to find a way to put those words in there.
Very interesting.
Those words were, it was like, whoa, you got your letters in the thing, and I was like, well, look for the word that you don't see, and that's basically how. That's my little secret on how I'm always getting published.
There you have it. There's the tips from the master.
Yeah.
What does your collection mostly consist of? Is it DC or Marvel, or is it a little mix of everything?
It's a little mix of everything. Like I said, I'm really collecting the True Believers by Marvel. Valiant's coming out with the $1 books also. I'm collecting those. A majority of my books are Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers stuff. I decided not really to collect, like I said, to collect comics as aggressively, but I am keen my focus on my Captain Marvel books, and people see my Captain Marvel memorabilia and they're like, dude, you got stuff for a museum. So one of my favorites is this one right here. It's the Generations.
Very awesome.
Stan Lee and I had Stan Lee sign that one, and looking at the difference, looking at the census from CGC, this is a CBCS book, but looking for the CGC, there is none signed for this one. So I'm like, I probably have the only one signed by Stan Lee.
Yeah, I believe it. That's really awesome, man.
I do have the rails, like you have, the little.
Oh yeah, like the.
I have that. Yeah, I have that
up on
set
the
up.
wall here.
I have that, and I've had people come in and they were like, "Oh my goodness." I do have a couple gaps on there, and basically what I'm doing with that, like that, is I'm telling the history of Carol. So I have my the first one is I have her first appearance, Marvel Superheroes 13.
Who signed that one?
And it's signed by Roy Thomas. So
okay, oh there it is. Okay, I see the signature.
There we go.
Right in the middle.
That's signed by Roy Thomas right there. And it's funny, I got to see Roy talk with Roy a couple weeks ago for a good sufficient amount of time. Just hearing stories that, how he became a writer, and how he likes to tell stories from like history. So he gets gaps in history and he finds a way to tell a story, and they're like the invaders, when they're fighting the Nazis and stuff, the defenders. It was kind of refreshing to hear his take a point of view on many things. So when you talked about my storing, I have my cabinet, I have my short boxes, I have the rails, the guards up. That's it. And it's funny because people, like I said, people come in and they were like, "Oh shoot," and they look at it, and I was like, and I go, and I'm like, "Hey, it's taken me a while. It's like it's taken me a while to get that collection put together. Sometimes I'll just focus on one book, and I say, okay, I'm gonna focus on how am I gonna get this book signed, and where are they gonna show up, and how am I gonna get to that person to get it signed. So that's just basically that whole wall is just that I have. It's all Carol, and the different perspectives. And I came to the point where I bought a sketchbook, and I'm just getting the different perspective of artists. When I get a commission done, George Perez, I got just a bunch of cats in there, and I'm like, just give me your interpretation of Carol, whether it's Miss Marvel, whether it's Captain Marvel. Give me your input and just sketch it on there. So I got Chun-Li in there as well, but Carol and Chun-Li, those are my two characters in there. So
Awesome. So let's say your house is burning down, and you can save one book with the most sentimental value.
Oh, jeez.
What do you grab?
Yeah, and I was thinking about this the other night. I've had some people, my father was asking me, they're like, you need to get insurance for these. You need to get a safe for them. So I've been eyeballing safes here and there. But
I will show you this one quick tip real quick. This file cabinet that I picked up for pennies, this guy right here.
Yes.
Fireproof.
Sweet.
And it cost me, if I hauled it away, they just gave it to me off of Craigslist. So...
Sweet. Yeah,
it's actually two of them stacked on top of each other, but the drawers are really deep. I mean, it's hard to fit in anything slab, but it's still cool. So that's what I would recommend. Oh yeah, you could stack them. Yeah, right. You could stack them.
In one of my cabinets, I put all the expensive stuff on the bottom. And my dad's like, why are you putting stuff on the bottom? Like, because if there's a thief, he's not going to bother bending over down there and pulling it all
just grabs on top.
back. It's there, you know. So yeah, not that any of you are going to come over and rob my house. It's locked up. It's locked up. So don't try nothing. But I would have to. It would have to be. Actually, I have a box put away, and it's I think I have 11 Avenging Spider-Man number 9s in there.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
And I bought that book. I bought that book back when it was cover. I went heavy on that book when it was heavy. It wasn't later until it was. I was out of a job for a while, and I told my it was in the dollar bin. There was a bunch in the dollar bin, and I told my comic. And me and my comic book local comic shop owner, we built a real good friendship. And I told him, go to your dollar bin, pull those books out. And I'm glad he did, because yeah, he would have been giving those for $1. But I got my handful.
You got your box of books to run out the front door with as the house is collapsing around you.
So, yeah, just like I said, I have my Captain Marvel collection. A lot of the stuff, signed by Adam Hughes, John Tyler Christopher. He's a really great guy. I'm glad for the relationship I've built with him. Kelly Sue DeConnick, she's phenomenal. Like, I've gone to Portland 3 times, 4 times to hang out, just and talk. Just, not just go over, but at the convention, and she comes around the table, gives me a hug. Everybody's like looking at me like, who are you? And I had her do me a whole short box of Captain Marvel, just all Captain Marvel books she worked on from yeah. she signed a bunch for me, and I submitted those for grading. I think it was about 80 books she signed for me. So thank you, Kelly. I owe you big time on those.
Shout out to Kelly.
Kelly's super iconic.
That's awesome. Sounds like you have a good rapport going. I don't know if you've ever interacted with Tom King before.
Tom King. Okay.
Tom King. He's the current writer of Batman. That guy is really cool. I really enjoy talking with him. He is a former CIA agent. Or is either CIA or FBI. He was up there, and he decided he wanted to write comic books instead.
Yeah. Hey,
that's a pretty cool story. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard he had just recently got taken off, but then he's gonna start another series with Batman.
Batman and Catwoman. Yeah. So I don't understand what the hell DC is doing.
Well, talking about your rapport with a guy, just start like you're doing with this. Start documenting some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Start documenting the things. I mean, I got to sit with Danny O'Neill, and I was at one of the panels, and he started talking about how he was a reporter and he was very liberal, and that he wrote a false story in the newspaper that Martin Luther King was coming the next day, and the townsfolk weren't too happy about that.
Lost their minds, I bet.
But one of his handlers said, "I'd never heard that story before." And then Roy Thomas says, "I had never heard that story before either." So it's amazing what people will say when you get a camera in front of them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm gonna switch focus here for a second, and we're gonna do a little bit of news. One thing I want to get your 2 cents on. So you've met Stan Lee once or twice, correct? A couple times, yeah. Super nice guy. I've never met the man. I've never even been at a con where he is for some reason. And, it's sad that he's no longer with us, and this crazy legacy that he left us that's going to live forever. Therefore, Stan Lee will never die. I don't know if you heard the reports about his former handler.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with cahoots of a nurse, and they withdrew some blood from him, and now they made a Stan Lee stamp.
What?
So if you buy, I have to get the website. I should have brought it up. I don't know why. But if you buy a comic book from that website, they'll stamp it. It's with clearly a fake Stan Lee signature, but it's dipped in his blood.
Wow.
So, and you have some Stan Lee signatures in your collection. I'm curious as to, like, Does that appeal to you at all?
Mm,
To have his blood on a comic, or do you think that's were they taking advantage of him? Does that constitute maybe elder abuse? Because I've heard some people say, "Hey, he was at the con I had. It looked like he didn't even know what planet he was on."
yeah. I met him in 2016, and I said he is done. This guy is like, why are they dragging him around? And it was funny because I didn't think very too highly of Stan Lee for a long time. And it was the year that everybody was dying off, where all these celebrities were dying off. And I was like, and then they're, and I was just like, I was like, Stanley's a chump. He's a chump. I like Jack Kirby instead. Jack Kirby. And then all of a sudden it just hit me, and I was like, Stanley's gonna die any minute now. I gotta meet this guy. So I took off to Portland to go see him. And really, really frail. He's like, "Hi, I'm Stan Lee." I go to shake his hand. Next, there's the photo people were trying to, because I wanted a photo with him.
Yeah.
I was like, the guy wants to talk with me. He wants to,
Yeah, let him talk. Who cares?
Yeah. So, I can see how a lot of people took advantage of the guy, probably. And then another guy that I was really looking at, I'm not saying I'm not saying he was taking advantage of. I did say that a couple of years ago when I was getting this signed. When I got this signed by Roy Thomas, he was charging $5. It was going to Heroes Initiative. This was signed in 2017, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, Roy's getting screwed over." I go, he has a handler now, a manager by John, and me and John, we had a good chat a couple of weeks ago when they came down to Phoenix Comic Con, and I'm like, now he's charging $35 for stuff getting graded.
Jeez.
And but I could see where the money's going.
Yeah.
He's being taken care of, and I told John, I said, thank you for taking care of him, because let the collectors make their money, but a lot of these guys, they didn't have these how would I say, the financial aspect at the time. A lot of these young writers, they don't, is Marvel taking care of them? And I can see why the Hero Initiative was created, to take care of some of these people. So people were like, yeah, $100, Stanley's charging $100, but I was like, but you got to think about the man and the care they're giving him, I mean, these retirement homes or whatever else. This was at that time. I said, you got to think about, the medical expenses that he's going forth. But there was just a time where that's it. You need to stop. Leave the guy alone.
Yeah, let him go do whatever he wants to do. He's old. Let him go sit in his chair if that's what he wants.
Exactly. I'm not too fan. No talk saying that. I'm not too fan about the whole blood thing. I'm like, yeah, he's an old man, but I mean, there's some elderly women from my church that I've taken care of, and I've seen where people have tried to get one over them. So I'm like, no, not gonna happen.
Yep, I just found one on eBay from Stan Lee's, potentially his blood, and it's going for about $3,000 on a Thor 700.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't know if it's true or false. It's in court right now, so we got to wait. We got to let due process happen. But if the allegation is true, I mean, someone definitely has to pay, for it, whether it's prison time or some fines. But I think it's elder abuse.
Yeah, it is elder abuse. I mean, you can only do so much to some point, and it's just that.
The guy's in his 90s, leave his blood alone.
That's enough. Respect him. Leave him alone.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Leave his blood in there. He doesn't have a whole lot of it left.
Yeah.
Walking Dead. Do you read it? Do you watch the show?
I don't watch it, and we're probably going to get a lot of people mad. I have the 3 Game of Thrones seasons in Blu-ray, and I still have not yet watched one. I know what's going on with that Walking Dead. I was at the comic store today, and they were getting calls of that 192.
192, yeah.
That 192, they were getting calls, and
spoiler alert for those who care.
Yeah.
So they finally did it. They finally killed Rick Grimes. He's dead.
Yeah.
So I guess that, from what I interpret from the show, they were saying there's a potential for Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes, to come back. But I'm just like, well, not anymore. They
Yeah,
shut that door.
he's gonna come back as something else. That's what he's coming back
He
as.
could come back as a zombie. Yeah, maybe. That's cool.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. So do you think is this a big money cash grab? Because Walking Dead was kind of on the decline. They kill off probably one of the biggest characters they have on the show in the books. Do you think it's just a ploy to sell some books? Do you think maybe we're starting to see the decline of Walking Dead?
If it was a ploy, you do have to get eventually like some of the fresher characters in, like in the comics, you know.
Right.
So who dies, somebody else steps in. We've seen that with Nightwing, Tim Drake, whatever. I mean, Robin. You know, they keep passing the mantle with who's the next Nightwing, who's the next, you know, who's the next Robin. You know, so I can see that cycling going on in the comics. If it's a cash grab, it's a cash grab to those fans. You know, hats off to you. But that's one of the things in the comics. Like whatever was hot yesterday, it's not going to be hot tomorrow. And a lot of people are making that quick buck, and they're not thinking long term. When I was thinking long term, like one of the ones was New Agents of Atlas. I saw that and I said, okay. And people were asking, why do you see those as long term characters? And I said, because Asia is another market that the comic book industry really, I don't know how, if it's tapped or what. I know they got their manga and their anime and stuff, but that whole Asia China market, that whole Asian market has been untapped. They're going to start seeking those books out.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, you're right.
I don't think it's occurred to a lot of those people. And that's why I started grabbing some of those books. And I even wrote about it in one of my Comics Heating Up articles. I said, there's some characters that are coming out and you might want to go after them. No, it's hot today, you know, dead tomorrow. I go, no, you gotta think that long term, like that market that hasn't been tapped yet. That's where your grab's going to be eventually, you know. That's how those books are going to disappear. So
absolutely. Looks like The Walking Dead 192 is already going for over $350 on eBay. And it came out, what, 2 days ago?
Something like that, yeah. But hey, people will pay it.
Yeah, I got nothing against it. Go for it.
You know, it's not like you can take that comic. Oh, it's worth $300. It's not like you can take that comic to the bank and say, "Here's this. It's worth this. Give me that money." No, does it? You know, it's whatever someone's gonna pay for it. That's what it's worth to them. I bought 15 statues of the San Diego Comic-Con Captain Marvel Mohawk edition. I bought them for $13 each, and I've been popping them off eBay for $80, $75, $80. Nice. And now I'm seeing them over $130 and up, and I was like, oh. I mean, it's not like I can take that statue to the corner bank and say, hey, this is what I'm selling for. Give me that cash, you know? I can't, you know? Like I said, I paid $13 for them. Yeah, okay, I flipped them, but, you know, whatever they're willing to pay for him, you know, that's worth to them.
Have you heard of Devils Do Comics?
Devils Do Comics. Oh yes, and I'm a fan.
Okay, that's good. So how do you feel that they are parried? It's just for fun, I know. The big Alexandria, I can't even remember her name. AOC.
Ocasio.
Yeah, Ocasio-Cortez. So they're making her like Wonder Woman. DC had said, you know, hey, enough of that jazz. But they're doing it again with a Trinity cover with Bernie Sanders as Green Lantern, AOC as Wonder Woman, and I can't remember that representative's name from Minnesota, something Amar, I think. But
I think DC was just, I don't know. I think they're taking it a little too far, and they saw the traction that this other comic company's getting. Because I mean, you see Mad Magazine, they're always making parodies or these other characters.
Yeah, but DC owns Mad Magazine.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They, you know, it's a push. Like, hey, you can't do what we're trying to do over here. You know, so you see these other ones. Like I said, Mad Magazine, they do parodies, but you know they're not going to bump them because they own them.
Right.
They have no connection with Devil's Due. Hey, you're stepping into my turf. Let's stop. You know, I mean, and this could be made for a lot of like, I mean, why don't they go after cosplayers and stuff when they make their own?
Yeah, you're right. That's true.
Cosplayers or commission artists or whatever. You know, it's just they DC saw someone coming and trying to step up to the turf. They
See, I don't think it's DC is going after someone who's someone's coming after our turf. I personally think what DC was doing was like, whoa, it's politics. We don't want to play one side over another, and we don't want to feel like, we don't want other fans to feel like we're choosing a political party over another. So I think they just want to wipe their hands clean of it. Especially because she says controversial things, and they don't want to be associated with that.
I comprehend, like, even when they did, what was it? They did the Barack Obama books and the Sarah Palin books. Some of those are hilarious. So it's like, come on, let it go. It's comedy. It's entertainment. But
it's entertainment. Yeah, and I think Obama was on a Spider-Man cover, wasn't he?
Yeah, Marvel had him there.
Who knows? Maybe they were collaborating. I have no idea. Are you a big Blade fan?
Blade fan. Oh my goodness, it's funny because I was listening to the soundtrack on my way to work yesterday.
The big techno sound.
I was listening to the whole Crystal Method. I was like, I have a playlist, and it's just like, okay, I gotta get ready, get in the mindset for work. I work for Costco, and a lot of times I work on a pizza oven, and I'm just slicing and dicing pizzas. Over sometimes up to 100 pizzas a day.
Oh man,
It's a 3-tier oven. I'll go step into a pizza spot and what are you looking? I'm looking at your pizza oven. Why? Because I work on a 3-tier oven, and they're like, whoa. But so yeah, the Blade. I wasn't reading Avengers. For a bit, and I saw Blade on the cover of one of them, and I read that they had their little war with the vampires, and it was Blade that got me back reading Avengers. I saw the Iron Fist 1 million BC. I saw the Ghost Rider 1 million BC, and I was like, these are the stories. These are timeless stories. So it was Blade that got me back reading Avengers just recently.
Yeah, exactly. So for those of you who don't know, it looks like Blade is coming back. In an Avengers book. Oh, there he goes again. Yeah. Let me share this article with you guys here. So we're looking here at Blade. Looks like on June 11. Looks like Blade might be making a comeback. In Avengers style, which is really cool. I wonder who the artist is on that. Very cool, very cool. Well, it looks like he's got some internet connection issues, so I think what we're going to do... Oh, thought he was coming back. Thought I heard him. Oh, look at that. He's all dressed up. We'll give him another minute. I think I can hear him. Maybe.
We're back.
There he is.
I'm here.
Yep, I can see and hear you now. Okay, we're good. That's okay. Must be that Arizona internet.
It's that heat that's affecting our waves there. What are you drinking there, by the way?
Oh, just whiskey Coke.
Okay.
I decided I was going to do a little bit of whiskey instead of beer today, but normally I do beer. So what's on your pull list that you're excited about?
My pull list that I'm excited about. Well, recently I really first it's Arrow, Swordmaster. He's one of the new agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that he's on there. He's on there to get list. I picked up my True Believers today. I took a peek. I have my Captain Marvel stuff in there. I'm going to start reading that. I want to read that Black Cat that just recently came, the one that was just released this week. What was it? I can't even pronounce the word. Elite.
Okay.
I'm a little bit behind reading on her. I want to start reading the Conans.
Conan's are cool.
Yeah, people telling me good stuff about Conan. I'm starting to pull away from my pull list. I'm starting to shorten that out. I haven't really been doing reading. Doing a lot of graphic novel reading. I'm going back to a lot of the classics to where when I was young and I was seeing, like I said, first comic book I ever picked up, Batman versus Predator. I finally bought that graphic novel about 2 months ago, and I just sat there one night reading it, and I was like, oh, just that feeling. I was like, oh, just that feeling. I'm really, really chasing graphic novels of the Dark Horse Omnibus. Those are really, really tough to find right now at a reasonable price, especially the Predators. I'm a big fan of the Predator.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Predator universe. Yeah. And it's funny because I remember talking about that Boy Scout trip. We were always creating scenarios. Oh, the Care Bears versus Predator. You know what are you going to do with Care Bears
versus Predator. I happen to have Alien versus Predator #1.
Yeah.
Like the first appearance, of an Alien versus Predator story.
Yeah, that was a great one. That was a great one.
I have Alien #1. I have Predator #1. I have Alien versus Predator #1. I've got it all.
I found a deal. This guy gave it. He was on Facebook Marketplace. He was out of LA, and he said it was all the Alien books, Omnibus, Dark Horse Omnibus. It was all 6 of them, and then he gave me Aliens versus Predator 1 and 2, and the DC. It was I think it was the Green Lanterns, Green Lantern, Batman versus the Predators or Aliens. Yeah, I got those. I haven't read that one yet. That's on my to read list. But those are the classic stories because the universe is crossed, and I want to see more of that in comics. Not so much. It doesn't even have to be Marvel versus DC. Like just creating those different scenarios where.
Do you read a lot of different crossovers?
I prefer the crossovers. Yes, like. I love them. Like I hear they're gonna do the Django and Zorro.
Django and Zorro.
That's one I'm really looking forward to reading.
This one, if you ever get a chance to read it, it's so dumb, it's good. And that is Planet of the Apes and the Green Lantern Corps.
I remember seeing that one.
And I had it signed by Justin. The only reason I got it is because Justin Jordan was going to be at the Comic-Con that I was at. Yeah. So I actually got #1 signed. Only reason I got it, and I read it, and I was like, wow, this is really dumb. I think I'm going to get it.
Me and my father had a discussion about the Planet of the Apes because he knows. I listen to a lot of paranormal radio. Right now, my favorite that I'm listening to is the Sasquatch Chronicles. So I'm always referencing the Planet of the Apes behavior with the supposedly the Bigfoot encounters. Yeah. That... And then, I was reading a couple Planet. I didn't read too much. I was just looking at them, glancing at them because I have my idea for a comic book, and it's just figuring out how to get that in play. And being a fan of paranormal radio, I'm a big fan of this. I was a big fan of Art Bell, and I was able to call in a couple times. But
very cool.
I would set up a comic book where somebody calls into this talk show host and they tell their story and they just do it in comic book format. That was something I was chatting with Neil Adams about that this couple weeks ago. Usually when I talk to, artists, I try to stay away from the comic rhetoric talk, something that's going to hook up some conversations that's going to last. And we started talking Bigfoot, and I was like, yeah, I saw this tweet you had about Bigfoot, and let's talk. And he's like, yeah, sit down. We started chatting. And it's funny because a lot of people, they tell me, they're like, oh, he's real standoffish. He doesn't want to talk. He's just there for the money grab, and then, whatever. But we talked for 15 minutes. And he was telling me about some of the stuff he's doing, and I said, "This is my idea for a comic book. Like, there's so much stuff going on out there, and people making fun of you about the Bigfoot not believing, but yet they're believing in these superheroes. What's more make believe? Some a story somebody told that they saw, or seeing Batman and Superman. So that was a little chat we had, but that's kind of my idea. I would write it out like, and I've talked to different artists around. I was like, you guys should do this. I'd write it out for you guys, do it, but we just don't have the time or the money.
Nah.
Any comic book people out there listening, hey, I got some ideas.
That's a good idea. That is a really good idea. Yeah, I'm picturing that in my head. Like a Bigfoot kind of comic book noir kind of thing.
It would be mostly like,
nice.
Okay, so I'm gonna call in. The comic is I call in. They don't even see my face. The talk show host can probably have a hat over his head or something and says, okay, we're taking this call. He tells, and the story's being told over the phone, but the story is that he tells is whatever you draw out, maybe his sighting or his experience with whatever he saw, whether it's a Bigfoot or whether it's a UFO, he saw a UFO or whatever, so they say these stories are outlandish, but then here we are reading comic books that are not, they're make-believe, it's entertainment.
It's funny you brought up Neil Adams. I only have one really cool, funny Neil Adams story. It's a Baltimore Comic-Con 2 or 3 years ago, and he was there. For some reason, someone thought it would be hilarious to pull the fire alarm. So obviously everyone's got to evacuate, and I was in the Neil Adams booth just by chance. I didn't even realize it was his booth. I was just looking at some cool art, and everyone kind of evacuated, and he looked at me, and he's like, what's happening? I was like, bro, I have no idea. And someone from the convention staff says, you guys gotta leave. Go out that door over there. So I went out that door with Neil Adams, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going out the door with Neil Adams. And we're kind of walking out, and we're finally exit the building. And so there's myself, my friend that was with me, Neil Adams, David Finch, and Tom King, just chilling on the sidewalk behind the convention, just hanging out, talking books.
Part of the entourage, huh?
Yeah, and I was out there, and I was like, hey, is this a really bad time to get an autograph from some of you guys? And he's like, we're not at the booth. So I whipped out my books I needed to sign. They signed all my books. I didn't pay for nothing. But I made sure I put the karma forward, and I put extra couple bucks in everyone's donation bin.
Yeah.
But so that was really cool. I got all these autographs for free, and I got to just hang out with some top tier comic book talent.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you, what is your coolest signature you got?
In fact, let's and it's right here. That's a toss up between the coolest signature. The book I was telling you about that I had signed by David Finch, Tom King, and Neil Adams is this book, and I got it back at 9.4. So I got all three right here, and this was because of the fire alarm. Real funny. But I would say, like, none of my autographs are really worth a whole lot of money, but I still enjoy collecting them. Kevin Eastman, Ninja Turtles. I don't collect Ninja Turtles, but I mean, hey, when you're growing up in the 90s, everyone loves Ninja Turtles. So I got this really cool, it's not even like a comic book. It's the Authorized Martial Arts Training Manual by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. So that's those are my two top cool ones. I got some. In fact, the whole wall behind me is autographs. These are all autographs.
Yeah.
So to say which one is cool, and I wouldn't know. They're all super cool to me. I have some really weird ones, like the Arkham Knight Genesis collection from the Arkham Knight video game, the first actual appearance of the Arkham Knight before he appeared in DC continuity. So that's kind of neat. Eventually, these are all going to go to CBCS signature verification, but that's a lot.
They have a sweet deal going on right now.
I know, and you know what? I just can't do it. I had to fix a couple things around the house, and I'm about 10 minutes too late. And I've also got some more autographs up here, and these short boxes up here. Yeah, so I got all kinds of autographs that I need to send out.
Sweet, sweet.
Yeah, that's my quick room tour. It's a really tiny room, but my wife said I could do whatever I wanted as long as it didn't come out of the room.
Yeah, no, I saw a previous video of you were showing it off, and I like how there's the no sunlight comes in there.
Yeah, I have no windows at all. And when I was redoing the whole office, we were tearing the drywall off, and there's not even any pipes above me. There's nothing. So
you're
I'm
safe.
good. I don't got to worry about anything leaking or nothing. And I got a nice, decent sized basement, so I'm pretty fortunate. Unfortunately, the room is really small. You can almost touch it with your wings, but that's all right.
Your comic book sell.
I know, right? Hey, that's all right. And we got these cool, put in these new lights. This room's we just redid it, so it's a lot better than what it was. It's actually insulated now. I found out that it wasn't before.
That's good.
So I think we'll call it there before your internet takes another dive.
Yep.
Do you want to shout out your social media again one more time?
Okay, so my social media is I'm Cruzzer2 on the CBCS forum. I'm Gabriel 85301. If you guys are curious, that's the zip code. It's where I'm from. I don't know if it's reading right or that.
Perfect. You're good.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I have over 125 subscribers. Feel free to subscribe. Give me some suggestions. My eBay's Cruzzer2. Facebook Cruzzer2. Feel free to ask questions. That's it. Basically, the Blank Page is a blog I sometimes write for. Well, it's my blog, but I haven't really been working. And I call it the Blank Page because every time when I just get stuck in my head and I just get stuck in my head, it reminds me I got to go do something. And when I go do it, I want to talk about it and write about it. And then, but sometimes I'm just doing so many things, it just stays blank. It's just a prescription. It needs to be filled. So that's why I called it the Blank Page. It's got to, it's good. It reminds me, go live life. There's more things other than comic books. Yeah, we're here for the comic books, but we got to think about our physical health. And
oh yeah, got to get out of that chair. That's why they invented cons. You can walk around, get the blood flowing a little bit.
Exactly.
Meet some of the talent. You know what I mean? Talk to a girl.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again. Maybe we'll loop back around and get. I definitely want to get Dan Piercy back on. JLS Comics. I don't know if you subscribe to his channel. He's a very cool guy. Definitely recommend it.
I would definitely recommend this guy. I don't know if you've seen him. He's Simple Man Comics.
Simple Man Comics. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's one of my biggest Instagram supporters, and I don't know how he does it with him doing his YouTube channel and stuff. I was like, man, this guy's always taking the time to show me some love. So
shout out to Simple Man. Maybe we'll have to get him back on here. I want to get a couple different people. Once I do like 4 or 5 interviews, that'll be like my phase 1. We'll all come together for one collab video.
Exactly.
And then we'll talk about some news then. But
another guy you probably want to hit up is Isarvo.
Yes, Isarvo, yeah.
Isarvo, shouts out to him. On my days off from work, I volunteer second grade readers, and he donated a huge stack of Disney books to donate to this class. So,
God bless him.
I was whoa, these are like $20, $30 books, in my opinion. But I mean, it made those second graders. They just lit up because they're from single parent homes,
sure,
inner city, and to have these stack of comics that he donated to them, oh my goodness. So shouts out to you, Sarvo. Hopefully we get you on soon.
Yeah, right. You have been on my radar for a little while. Everyone kept asking when you were going to be on. I said I had no idea. Awesome, man. We'll leave it at that. We'll definitely be in touch soon.
We will. You have a great one, and
awesome.
Stay cool this summer.
Right? Go Cardinals. You a big Cardinals fan?
Not really.
No.
I watch the football, but I'm a more of a Seahawks fan. I'm more Seattle Mariners, the Northwest, and people ask, "Oh, why are you a Seattle Mariners fan?" I was like, there was a time when Arizona didn't have a baseball team, and spring training was
Yeah, they still don't.
on my bike.
They still have a baseball team.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. I know you've got plenty of daylight left. It's almost 9 o'clock. Oh, it's after 9 o'clock here.
You have a great night and a great weekend. And
Yep, you as well. Enjoy
talk
that nice Phoenix weather. Stay
yeah,
warm.
so
All right, thanks, man.
yes.